keto, vegan, carnivore, zone diet, South Beach, paleo, vegetarian, Mediterranean, eat right for your type, metabolic typing, Atkins, Whole30, intermittent fasting. The list goes on and on. Sounds like you want to lose weight and you're overwhelmed as fuck with the amount of information out there. In this video, I'm going to simplify it and walk you through a step-by-step approach to help you lose fat and build muscle. Crazy thing is, I've actually done almost all of these diets, lifestyles, fads, whatever you want to call them. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you which diet I used that got me the most shredded, the healthiest, and the strongest. I'm Mike Wodango, owner of Freak Strength in Oakland, New Jersey, and I've trained everything from gold medalists, Super Bowl and national champs, first rounders from every major sport, and future Hall of Famers from 3 different sports. And on top of it, I'm a former collegiate All-American. So I've not only coached people to get to elite performance, I've also competed at a high level. So I'd like to think I can shed some light on this subject. Let me paint a picture. It's time to go out, you put on the old pair of jeans that used to make you look good and actually fit you, and they're not sliding on how they used to. And you think, this fucking dryer, shrinking all my clothes. And then you look in the mirror, it wasn't the dryer. You think, this ain't it. I look like shit and I gotta do something about it. So where do I go from here? How the hell do I start? And the scrolling and the rabbit hole begins. Enter Google, Instagram, and YouTube. Best diet for weight loss. And here comes the tsunami of bullshit. Colon cleanses, ketones, and herbal teas. And before you know it, someone is screaming at you through your phone telling you kale is bullshit, lectins will kill you, sugar causes cancer, while simultaneously hearing that you can literally eat Twinkies and lose weight, as long as it fits your macros, and thermodynamics, while someone's yelling, human randomized controlled trials. Any of this sound familiar? Yeah, the internet is a lot. While I can promise you I don't have all the answers, my hope is that I can help you get started in going in the right direction. Now, before we begin, here's your disclaimer. Please consult your doctor before doing anything in this video. Everyone has their own needs and specific tweaks that need to be made in all aspects of our lives. This is not by any means medical advice. It's just a way to shed some light on a very overwhelming and highly confusing topic, diet. Proceed responsibly. So where to begin? For majority of our weight loss clients, it's not about macros and calorie counting. I mean, that's just way too overwhelming and complicated. Telling them to read the back of food labels while bringing scales everywhere, I mean, though I've done it myself with success, it's just not sustainable for majority of the population. And I gotta be honest with you, my pro athletes don't like doing it either. So what is sustainable? Simplicity. The simpler it is, the easier it is to do it every day. At Freak Strength, we break things down to source and size. Ever hear this one? If it walks the earth, grows on the earth, or swims the sea, that's usually a pretty good place to start for weight loss and health. Something as simple as addressing source can have a positive influence on health and weight loss. In this 14-day study, it was shown that when subjects were instructed to consume as much or as little as desired, energy intake was greater during the ultra-processed diet, with an increased consumption of carbohydrates and fat, but not protein. Weight changes were highly correlated with energy intake, with participants gaining 0.9 plus or minus 0.3 kilograms during the ultra-processed diet and losing 0.9 plus or minus 0.3 kilograms during the unprocessed diet. Simply put, eating unprocessed foods lets you eating less calories. Now, how do we differentiate unprocessed from ultra-processed foods? Well, in this particular study, here's their definition. Ultra-processed foods have been described as formulations mostly of cheap industrial sources of dietary energy and nutrients plus additives, using a series of processes and containing minimal whole foods. So technically, anything that comes from a package is considered processed, as well as something like ground beef. That's also considered processed. It's not so black and white, it's more of a continuum. But don't get too deep into the weeds with this. Just think about food being in its raw or natural form as best as you can. First off, protein. What has protein? I'm going to take you through this from a non-vegan standpoint. If it walks the earth or swims the sea, or even more simply put, anything with eyes is usually a good place to start. What has eyes? Fish, cows, chickens. You get the point. Or something that comes from something with eyes. Milk, eggs, or cheese, which is made from milk. Second, carbs. What carbs should I eat? Something that grows on the earth, fruits and vegetables. And in Jersey, usually the first question we get from my kids are, what about pasta or bagels? To which my response is usually, have you seen any bagel bushes anywhere? Are all bagels and pastas considered ultra-processed? Well, actually, no. Traditional pasta is ground up wheat mixed with water or an egg and boiled. Is that ultra-processed? No, and if you're a foodie like me that makes their own pasta, it's actually okay. But I still put pasta in the no-go category for many of our weight loss population for 2 reasons. First, it's really easy to overeat. And second, most of the country doesn't make pasta from scratch or from great quality flour. They get their pastas from places like Kraft, and some of the things they load into their products are loaded up with preservatives, which puts it further on the continuum of ultra-processed. But again, don't get too deep into the weeds here. Just keep it simple. There are no pasta bushes, there are no bagel trees, so you can't eat it for now. And what about kale? Is kale really bullshit? Honestly, who gives a shit? It's a very nuanced way to look at things. For weight loss, on a scale of 1 to 10, worrying about stuff like that is usually on like a level 9 or 10. Freaking out about lectins from kale or broccoli is not likely the key factor in making you look better in your old jeans. I'd rather you eat bushels of kale than handfuls of Doritos and sugar cookies just about any day of the week. For now, for general weight loss, eating fruits and veggies, you'll most likely be fine. Fats. I usually don't worry about fats for most people. If you're consuming majority of your protein from meat, fat is usually covered. However, there are other sources of fat other than meats. Nuts and seeds are solid sources. For those of you thinking that seed oils are pure evil, it's not really those types of seed oils that they're referring to. It's the processing of these oils that kind of makes it brutal. Oils from organic sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and that type of stuff I'm fine with. And if you're cooking, use butter, olive oil, or avocado oil. And I usually recommend those coming from organic sources and single-sourced, not blends. For those of you that don't know, there's a whole scandal with olive oil and how a high percentage of olive oil sold are not actually pure olive oil. So just get something organic and single-sourced to do your best to combat this. You'll pay more, but you usually get what you pay for. How much should we be eating of each? Well, we actually have different levels to our weight loss. A level 1, we just focus on the source. We give you a list of foods that you can eat and tell people just eat whatever you want from this list. If it's not on that list, don't eat it. In our level 2, we go into quantity. And in my opinion, this is the simplest and most replicable way to eat. Use your hand as a source of measuring. Get a piece of meat the size of your hand. Take a handful of vegetables, a handful of fruit, and if you need it, a thumb-sized portion of fat for every meal. It's literally that simple. If you need to lose weight quicker, have 3 meals a day. If you want to go a little slower, have 4 or 5 meals a day. That, plus 3 days a week of resistance training and 8 to 10,000 steps every day, you're going to be on a good track. Now, as for me, what's the leanest I've ever gotten? Honestly, it was when I was weighing my food every single meal. I did this for nearly all 4 years of college. My diet was about 40% carbs, 30% protein, and 30% fat. I ate every 3 to 4 hours. I would measure my body fat and recalibrate my macros every 4 to 6 weeks. But I would usually stay in the range of 40 to 48 grams of protein each meal. I'd eat a minimum of 5 meals a day, and 2 of those meals would be coming from protein shakes. My meal replacement shakes would have maltodextrin as its source of carbs, and my post-workout shake would have an extra 60 grams of carbs in it, typically from oatmeal. And then, for those shakes, I'd add an extra olive oil to all of them just to hit my fat requirements. I'd also take multivitamins, fish oils, adrenal supports, pre-workout and intra-workout supplements, as well as ZMAs to help my sleep before bed. And at times of very high energy expenditure, I'd make sure that I made a protein shake before going to bed and put it right next to my bed. I'd set my alarm for 4:30, wake up, drink my shake, and go back to sleep. I'd have anywhere from 3,200 calories to nearly 4,000 calories per day, depending on the time of year and how intense my day was going to be. I never drank anything except water. And in college, I was very, very dedicated. I could count on one hand how many times I was drunk. Now, also keep in mind, I was a college athlete. I'd do resistance training 4 to 5 times a week, and I'd train very, very hard. On top of that, I also had sport practice in some capacity nearly every day. And on top of that, I was walking to class every day. I used to expend a lot of energy. Now, this is super high level. And to be honest with you, I've trained a ton of pro athletes, and not many of them, if any, have been that strict. Most people don't need to. They just need to do the basics. But I was a little bit out of my mind. But it did work. I got strong, shredded, I got All-American twice, and since then have been inducted to my College Hall of Fame for baseball. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you like this and want more stuff like this, please like and subscribe. But most of all, share this with someone who needs it. Diet and nutrition is very difficult to navigate. A little guidance can go a long way. Thank you again for your trust and attention. I will never take it for granted.